My name is Mandy Walls. I'm a DevOps advocate here at PagerDuty. With me today is Michael and Jackie. We're going to be talking about chat first incident management. I'm looking forward to this. We've been, hoping to have some more discussion about the Slack integrations and stuff on the stream for a while. So excited to show everybody where the state of the art is for this today. We'll have a couple of announcements. We'll go through the talk track and then a demo, and there'll be time for Q&A. So if you do have questions, you want to put them in the chat or whatever, please ask those and we will get them answered for you. This whole series will continue through the year. We have the first handful of them scheduled for 2025. Every third Thursday at this time, please join us for all kinds of new product information and great stuff that will be happening. In February, security incident management, which we've had a lot of questions about. So we're putting some content out there for you. March 20th, we'll do zero trust and security. And then in April, identifying system weaknesses to improve resilience. So plenty of things coming up just even in the first quarter. So mark your calendars for the third Thursday of every month to join us here for these. You can watch them on demand. They are linked into the resources page. If you haven't seen our resources library yet, and you are a PagerDuty customer, there is a lot of stuff in there that may be helpful and informative to you as you continue on your PagerDuty journey. So that's a great page to just bookmark and refer to when you have questions or want to learn about anything else about incident management. If you haven't heard, we are returning to PagerDuty on tour. We have 4 locations scheduled for the first half of the year. We will start in London next month, 25th of February, at Bishopsgate, so in the city, and then Sydney, Tokyo, San Francisco in April. So we hope to see you there. Product demos, customer case studies, all kinds of interesting things will go on there, plus some workshops and other things. So check those out for the region that you are in. We hope to meet you in person. Directly after this, starting in a couple of hours, 1 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing a year in review with the Runbook Automation Rundeck folks. So if you watch those streams on a monthly basis, Jake and Forrest will be with me. Also, Jeff Hausman from our Prod Dev team will be joining us this week as well. And we'll be going through the improvements on that part of the product that they did last year, because they did a lot of work and there was a lot of new stuff there for folks. If you would like to share your story about how you use PagerDuty, what kinds of successes it brings for your team, what kind of learning challenges you had, anything about how your journey has gone with PagerDuty, and you'd like to share that, we love to hear these and we love to share them with the rest of our community. So please reach out to our team. You can hit that QR code there, or Jen is putting links in the chat. So you can, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to share your story, get you out there to tell that. And if you still have questions, if there are things that are bugging you that you want to know about, please join us on the comments. We will do our best to answer your questions or get you to the right team in engineering or wherever who can answer that for you. A lot of interesting things have popped up recently. A couple of questions about the Jira integration, some stuff about Rundeck. We cover it all. So if you have questions, please meet us there. So with that, I will turn it over to the gentlemen who are with me today, Michael, Jacky. Take it away.
So I'm Jacky Leybman. I'm a product manager here at PagerDuty. I've been at PagerDuty for about 2.5 years now. And I'm mostly focused on the PagerDuty advanced capabilities, which are the generative AI functionalities that we are bringing into the Operations Cloud platform. There is a close collaboration with Michael and team and the whole chat experience. So when it comes to keeping your business lights on, you need to manage and orchestrate your operational activities, prioritize high impact and urgent work, and maintain day-to-day precision. Trust is paramount during mission-critical, time-sensitive crisis response, and the narrow margin for error means there is little room and low acceptance for false positives. Now, there have been a number of outages last year. Of note was July 19. For a lot of people, maybe for a number of you, the world operated a little differently that day. As I think we are all aware, a widespread outage caused systems all over the world to get stuck in boot mode and experiences everywhere started to break. The fragility of operation was on full display, and it wasn't just one company or one industry. It was all across the economy, and it impacted so many of the brands we use, depend on, and trust. So our point of view at PagerDuty is that it's not a matter of if, but rather a matter of when a major disruption will happen. Some of the challenges that you have asked us to help you with recently are having less incidents identified by customers, reducing the high cost of coordination, and reducing the material compliance risks by easy-to-use processes. In today's face-based digital landscape, incident management is critical. Yet, many organizations still grapple with inefficient virtual war rooms, leading to responders join late, without context, fragmented investigations and communications, and scattered and siloed incident data. So things break. It's a fact of life, and it's a fact of building and maintaining technology systems. And when things do break, organizations need an incident management process for development teams that help get services back online faster, mitigate customer impact, and promote learning. The full incident lifecycle consists of multiple steps, and the exact steps depend on the organization. But usually you start with detecting an incident, and then you start creating a space to collaborate with your coworkers. It's usually done in a chat tool like Slack or Microsoft Teams. Then you start working on diagnosing it, identifying what's broken, and mobilizing the right people. The next step is usually mitigating with the goal of stopping the immediate pain. In other words, stop the bleeding. Only then you can finally take a pause and start thinking about long-term resolutions. After you resolve the incident, you usually work on documenting and learning in order to improve in the future to avoid similar incidents. So all of these steps, as you can imagine, can take a significant time and efforts, and collaborating while leveraging automation and AI to become more efficient is vital. So today, Michael and I are excited to share how PagerDuty's chat-first incident management, integrated with robust automated workflows and genAI-enhanced insights, enables end-to-end incident management with guided remediation directly from where you work, enabling to get back to what matters most during the critical times and providing you with insights at every step of the incident lifecycle. On the right side, you can see examples of how teams can get instant access to critical operational insights via an intuitive chat interface, enabling them to optimize their day-to-day operations. Team members can quickly retrieve essential information such as notification setup guides, integration configurations, upcoming on-call schedules, and team-specific MTTR metrics. This readily available knowledge empowers teams to continuously improve their operational efficiency during routine periods, ensuring better preparedness for the next outage. On the left side, you can see examples of how it benefits during outages by surfacing the answers to questions like what happened, what changed, what is the customer impact, empowering responders to achieve faster and more efficient incident resolution. When unplanned interrupt work strikes, communication and coordination are essential to resolution. Industry best practices recommend regular status updates to stakeholders and leadership every 30 minutes at least to be sure that the business responds with one voice. But crafting those updates takes time and bears its own cognitive load at a time when your teams are already at surge capacity. We have customers who tell us that during major incidents, they have 3 people dedicated to just status updates. With generative AI integrated into our status updates features, team can save cycles on what to say and to whom. They can generate persona-based status updates draft with just a few clicks. Also, taking the time to document post-incident reviews, which are a major part of operational excellence, is very challenging. It's a drawn-out, manual, and occasionally emotional process to collect all the relevant data points for review as a group. But imagine you had a virtual set of team members shadowing the incident from start to finish, a team whose only job is to create a timely and unbiased draft of your post-mortem report. That's exactly what we can give you by applying generative AI to automate the generation of comprehensive post-incident draft reports. Not only this feature saves time, but it will also provide a starting point for capturing crucial learnings, fostering a culture of continuous improvement, and enabling the team to spend more time on future proving. So this slide shows really high level of flow of how PagerDuty's chat-first incident management powered by GenAI enables seamless collaboration while accelerating incident resolution by reducing the MTTR. So when new responders join an incident channel, they receive an automatic catch me up summary, providing instant situational awareness. This proactive approach, combined with integrated PagerDuty and chat capabilities, deliver contextual insights like what changed and what's the customer impact throughout the incident lifecycle, enabling teams to resolve issues more efficiently without disturbing their workflow. So with that, I will hand it over to Michael to demonstrate some of these capabilities.
Pause for a second, just do a quick introduction so folks know who is this person that's talking at me for the next 30 minutes. My name is Michael Wettick. I'm currently the product manager for our PagerDuty chat experience. So that's our Slack app and our MS Teams app. My background is as a software engineer, then an SRE manager, an engineering manager. So I spent a lot of time in incidents, contributing to incidents, thinking about incidents, and I'm now in a role where I can help build some tooling to support incident management processes. So living the dream. And I'll also add, I recently completed a graduate program studying specifically incident response, particularly in chat, and how people ask for help, how they do that, why they do that in order to resolve the incident. So yeah, if the idea of knowing more details of how that work is actually done is interesting to you, you are my kind of dork. And I think we posted the link in the chat. And then there's a couple other communities linked there of folks that are interested in how humans successfully manage complexity or how they manage complexity in software systems. So we're going to hop into Slack here. What we're going to run through is a day in the life of a responder in chat. And then I'll probably stop along the way to touch on process at more of a higher level. But I want to show what running an incident in chat can look like, how easy it is. And ideally, if you're a PagerDuty customer, this is all available for you to use. Much of it is new, so you probably don't know that. And you can go start using this today and taking advantage of this. If you have a homegrown bot, maybe this will give you some ideas. Or maybe you can switch and just start getting features popping into your account all the time without having to maintain that yourself. But I'm sitting here in my memes channel, and I'm going to trigger an incident off to the side. And we should see a channel for this incident created, and I've automatically been added into that channel. So, if I notice something, I could also just directly start the incident process and trigger an incident from Slack. But in this case, let's assume something came into PagerDuty through an integration or a report somewhere else. So a channel was created. We automatically created a Jira ticket. We renamed our channel to match that Jira ticket key. And the point here being like process is great. And I know, places I've been in, many organizations will have, like, let's say you're an ITSM shop and for certain incidents, you want to create a problem record, or you have to get a record created in ServiceNow or Jira for tracking purposes. That's great. But also, like, personally, I want responders to not have to focus on filling out paperwork, and they can just immediately get to diagnosing and responding. And so our goal is to help you automate as much of that as possible, right on the onset. So we did that. We added some bookmarks to the channel. So I bookmarked my Jira ticket. I bookmarked a run book, a monitoring dashboard. And all of this is customizable. So the point being, if you want to effectively support people in responding to incidents in chat, there are resources they'll want readily available. And so you can use this channel to centralize all of those resources. And so you may want different bookmarks depending on the service that's involved or the type of incident, or maybe the content of the alert, and all of that's customizable in PagerDuty. So this dedicated channel, you can many folks on this webinar may be familiar already, but I'll assume, perhaps some are not. This becomes your home for the incident and the home for responders during the incident. So I was automatically added, and then as responders are requested, as other people and other teams get involved, they'll automatically be added to this channel. And so, like, why a dedicated channel? I've used this approach at a few different organizations, and there were a few things that prompted it. that might sound familiar. An incident might come into one team and they start diagnosing and they're talking back and forth in their team channel. And they're like, oh, okay, this isn't us. And so they kick it to another team and then they diagnose over here. And you end up with all this scattered coordination data, all these scattered threads of what's happening, what people are investigating. And it's hard for teams to see that, see what the other team would work on. There's a lack of visibility generally, like, folks in the organization might need to know, is there an incident going on? Who's involved? What's the current state? And so you'll see through this demo, we can make that a lot more visible. We're reducing cognitive load for responders. And also this just becomes like what you'll see today is a repeatable process that can scale across your organization pretty easily. So you'll see I sent a help message into this channel. This is something I configured. It's customizable, but we'll get back to that in a minute. The only thing responders need to remember is just a simple command, run/pd help. And what we're going to do is recommend what we think the next most likely action that responder needs to take is, in this case, acknowledging the incident. And let's say, we're going to role play through this. Let's say we're investigating, we see some calls to the back end timing out, there's some impacts to the front end. This early phase of the incident, folks are likely to ask, okay, we're seeing something is wrong, what changed? And so I can leverage PagerDuty Advanced and genAI just to say, hey, PagerDuty, what changed? We'll get a little acknowledgement that it's off their thinking, and we'll get a response here. In this case, I'm sending production deploy change events into PagerDuty, and so PagerDuty Advanced is bubbling that up. We also have a GitHub integration that can look for potentially relevant PRs. And so we're making that data easily accessible to responders. All right, so let's say we keep investigating and we see that this is a premium customer impacting incident. And it's important for our organization to track and communicate about those, in like a specific way. So I'm going to add a note to my incident, which I can do with an easy little / command as a responder here. I can type /pd note and get a modal, or I can just type my note out into the message box and send that, which is going to append that to the incident and then update the channel that this was added. And because of this impact, I'm going to update my impact value on my PagerDuty incident. So I run /pd impact. I set this as premium customer impacting. We're going to get a notice into our channel. And then you're also going to see this channel light up over here. And so this is what in PagerDuty we call a notification channel, but these can be these broader stakeholder channels where you can bring awareness to, hey, there's an incident in progress. Here's where that incident is being run. And you can easily get to the incident channel from that notification if you need to. And in this case, I'm using the idea of impact. I'm sure like at your organizations, there's probably specific facts about the incident that are important to you. It might be level of impact. It might be, a particular business unit is involved. And so I'm bringing this up just to show the level of customization and extensibility in PagerDuty. So impact is not like a native field in PagerDuty itself. But what I've done here is created a custom field called impact with my custom options that are relevant to me. And so based on this field name, we're creating a custom command in Slack that anybody can then invoke to see the current value or update it. So let's say, somebody else joins the incident and they're curious about impact. They can look at that custom field. They can also just ask PagerDuty Advance, and we're going to look at chat data, PagerDuty incident data. If I have, for example, Salesforce connected and there are some associated support tickets to this incident, we can bubble that up automatically. And so Advance is going to respond with, here's what we understand the impact to be at this point. Again, just making it easier for responders to get up to speed and not having to, potentially bother responders as they're focused on diagnosing. All right, so this is premium customer impacting. Let's say I'm seeing there's significant impact to many customers, and I drop that little note in my chat. In our case, we classify these incidents a little differently, and I'm sure many of you have the same thing. So these we consider a major incident. This is impacting a majority of customers. This is different than kind of the run-of-the-mill operational incidents we might have in PagerDuty. So I'm going to run /pd type, and I'm going to update this to a major incident. Now that event of the incident changing to a major becomes another point where you can hook in automation to automate parts of that process. The example I have here is another example of bringing awareness into these notification channels. So as soon as an incident becomes a major incident, regardless of where it is on PagerDuty or what service it is involved with, this major incident notifications channel is going to light up and give folks an easy route to the coordination channel to help out if they need to. So I'm guessing that like many of y'all have a lot of incidents in PagerDuty that may not necessarily require a big investment of human coordination. Maybe there's some alerts that then auto remediate. And this idea of incident type is a good way to classify those separately. So you might have a major incident type that has its own special fields. And this can also be done with a hierarchy. So here I have a security incident type, but then I have a subtype of that, which is maybe like a response to a 0-day vulnerability. But this is really flexible and lets you hang automation to say, here's what we want to automate for responders for the general kind of default incident. Here's the different set of automation for a major incident. All right, it's probably about time we give a status update. So I, again, can just do that with a quick / command. I'll paste it here. And if I wanted a better status update, I don't want to think about it because I'm busy trying to respond. This is again where I can tap PagerDuty Advanced for help. So I'll just informally say advanced status update, please. And it's going to use the history from the channel, previous notes added to the incident, and it's going to generate me a status update that I can then copy paste adjust as needed to update my stakeholders. So that's what we have here. And an important thing to point out when we talk about like raising the visibility and awareness of these incidents, those notification channels I've linked here are also getting updated in real time as things happen on the incident. So we can see here the incident changed to a major incident. Here's the status update. Here's the last update on the incident. And so folks can just leave notifications on for these types of channels and follow along as much as they'd like to, and then jump into the channel if they need to. So I mentioned this help message at the beginning. This is an example of some additional automation. So a lot of what you're seeing works out of the box, but a lot of the power here is also giving you the ability to automate things specifically to your process. So one of the examples I have here is, hey, responders, here is this command you can run that will automatically call in an incident commander for this incident. So, and we'll touch on incident command briefly in a second, but in my organization, we have an on-call schedule, a rotation of people who are willing to help coordinate incidents. And we don't want people to have to think about it too hard if they need one. We want to make it easy for them to call them into the incident. So I can run /pw incident workflow incident commander IC. It's going to go get the on-call incident commander, page them, add them to the Slack channel, and assign them the role to the incident, which I can validate if I run /pd roles. I can see Ashley was assigned as the incident commander. I could also manually assign people here or change that if I want to. But backing up for a moment, I assume many folks are familiar with this idea of kind of having formal response roles for their incident. There's a lot of really good documentation on that if you do want to know more. I'm pointing to PagerDuty because that makes sense, but it explains here, the incident commander, the usual responsibilities of an incident commander, but the bottom line being this is somebody who'll take responsibility for seeing this incident through to resolution, which can, the exact responsibilities of that can differ from org to org. We recommend some other types of roles here as well. But yeah, check this out if you would like more information. All right, so that was an example of running an incident workflow. All of these are immediately accessible to responders in the channel. So I can run /pwiw PDIW to get a list of workflows, but any of these can be invoked just by name. So, I have my Pagey workflow that sends our little Pagey mascot into the channel if I'm lonely. But this has been a lot of commands. So there's like type and role and I don't know, status, and they're pretty intuitive. They're pretty easy to remember. But going back to the beginning, all folks really have to remember is /PD help. And so I have my help message here. I can start unfurling this command directory, and this is something responders can interact with. Click this to add responders to the incident, but it reminds you what the / command is. So continuing to role play through this, let's say, we determined that it looks like maybe a table is locked on the database. Our APIs are making calls and getting blocked, and then those requests are hanging to the front end. So we need some database support. Well, I can quickly see who's on call from Slack. I could select database, see that that's Vince. And then, if this were a less urgent situation, I could just mention Vince and say, hey, can you help us out here? And I could maybe add them to the channel. In this case, this is a major incident. It's pretty urgent. So I'm going to page him in. So Vince has now been requested as a responder. He's been high urgency paged, and he's also been automatically added to the Slack channel. So as soon as he gets back to his desk, he sees the incident channel first thing. And the page will also route him to the channel as well. And when Vince joins, from his perspective, Advance is going to come in with a summary, catching him up. So rather having to scroll through the entire back scroll of the channel to get a sense of what happened, Advance is going to come in and say, hey, here's what's happened to this point. I can replicate that by just asking PagerDuty Advance to catch me up. And we're going to get our summary here using the chat history, the PagerDuty incident data. Here's our progress to this point. So our goal is to help, we're automating things for the first responders so they can immediately get to diagnosis. And then we're continuing to automate, summarize, lower the barrier to somebody being able to effectively respond as much as possible through things like providing these AI generated summaries. So let's say our DBA was great, cleared the locks, we rolled back a change. We're now ready to call this mitigated. We're not seeing any additional impact. Well, I can update our stage, which if you're a regular PagerDuty user, you probably know triggered, act, resolve in less granularity, which is something we're working on. But also a way I can do this is through custom fields. So I have a custom field called stage. These are options that I specified. I'm going to say this incident's been mitigated. We're going to get a message in the channel letting folks know it's mitigated. We're going to update the major incident room to let them know it's mitigated. We're going to update premium customer impacts to let them know it's mitigated. This is important information we want everybody to know about this incident. And then we'll wait, to get some confirmation from our customers that this is resolved. Let's say we did. So I'll say, hey, we got confirmation this issue is resolved. Which brings us to our close. So I'll go ahead and resolve this incident. If we're running lots of incidents in Slack channels, it could get a little messy. So we're also using PagerDuty workflows to archive our incident channels and make sure this stays cleaned up. And after resolution, what I have here is the start of my post-incident review. In some cases, and in some of your incidents, this may be enough. We're summarizing, here's what happened, here are the actions taken, here are the decisions made, using the Slack channel history, which is another advantage of centralizing all of that coordination and communication data into one place is, we have more visibility into all who was involved, what happened. And so we can summarize that and just automatically generate a post-incident review, which could then become a starting point. So if I click create post-incident review, we're going to create a new Jelly opportunity for a deeper level of post-incident analysis. I can open that up. I have my Slack data. I have my PagerDuty incident. I can assign my incident investigator. I have my AI generated incident review as a starting point, and then I can start digging deeper to say, here's where people were diagnosing the incident. Here's where they were taking repair actions. Here's what was surprising to responders. Here's what was difficult. I'll spend some time going through building my little narrative here, and then I'll have, a nice artifact for a deeper, more engaging post-incident review after the incident. So all of that chat data, you run your incidents in a dedicated channel, and that just feeds right through to things you can refer to and evidence you have, concrete evidence of what happened, who said what was difficult, to have these engaging discussions in your post-incident review. All right. So most of what you see here works out of the box. There were a few things I called out, like my adding bookmarks, my creating JIRA tickets that I mentioned I had automated. And so it was important to walk through kind of how easy this is from the responder's perspective. And then we can take a quick look at, here's my incident triggered workflow. So we're doing a lot. It's also incredibly easy to set up. So I created a workflow in PagerDuty. When an incident is triggered, in this case, we're just saying any type of incident, but I could have this be for major incidents, security incidents, and so forth. I want to do a few things. I want to create a JIRA issue. So we have a built-in JIRA cloud integration. This is easy. I want to create my incident dedicated channel. In my case, it was public, but let's say you were running a security incident. You can do this in a private channel. I'm sending my help message to the channel, and here's where I'm adding my bookmarks. And PagerDuty workflows is incredibly powerful and flexible. There's actions just to run custom JavaScript. There's actions to make raw API calls, get calls, post calls. So if we don't have a native integration to automate part of your incident process, which we have a lot of them, if we don't have a native one, you can 100% build anything that you need to automate your incident process and include that in a workflow. And then the last thing I'll show is we had run a command to automatically pull in the incident commander. So to give a sense of what that looks like, we're just using two actions. So we're getting the on-call of the incident command rotation, and then we're assigning them to the incident commander role. So this gives a lot of power, a lot of efficiency to responders, and the setup is also incredibly easy. And rather than like make some of this stuff be really static in the product, it was also important for us that all of this be customizable by default, because everybody's incident process is a little different. So I went through a lot there. I also went over a lot of GenAI stuff. What did I miss, Jacky? Is there anything you want to drill down deeper into? Otherwise, this is the conclusion of my day in the life of a responder.
Absolutely. Pakanj asks, is there access control around who can update incident priority or urgency or incident type, e.g. if we are to restrict incident priority update only for certain roles?
Good question. I don't know if I'm an expert on all the ins and outs of access control and PagerDuty as a platform. I don't believe we have anything based on role specifically, though, saying like only the incident commander can do X, Y, Z. It would be based on a user's license type. So you may have like stakeholders that you want access to the incident channel and the incident data, and they can see everything, but you don't want them hacking it or sending status updates. Like that's definitely possible. But anybody that's a responder in PagerDuty is going to have the ability to take action on the incident.
Next one from Jeff, is the channel archive delay configurable?
That it is. So if I pop over to my archive workflow, I'm sending a message into the channel, I'm delaying for a day, and then I'm running the archive action. So this is configurable. One of the kind of like next on my list is giving like a snooze button. So you could say, okay, I want it to archive after a day, but if a day comes up and you want to leave the channel around a little longer, you can cancel that operation or snooze it. You always can also just unarchive it in Slack, so that's not that big of a lift. But yeah, to answer the question, yes, that's configurable.
So of the stuff that we saw today, is it all currently available? This is all current product feature stuff. And what licenses does this belong to at this point?
Yeah, so it's important to me. It's important to my team and many of us, I mean, PagerDuty as a whole, that like any PagerDuty plan has a base level of support where you can run an incident management process from end to end. So everything you saw, almost everything you saw here is available on every plan. The dedicated channels, the notification channels, all the slash commands. Um, so my use of custom fields where I'm doing like slash PD impact. Custom fields aren't available on the Pro plan, but they are available on Business and Enterprise. But I think that's actually the only difference. Otherwise, everything's generally available. But I'll give a secret or a peek of upcoming things. So things like incident roles, if you look at our pricing page now, are actually enterprise only, and we're in the middle of bringing some of those features down to all plans. So very soon, like the idea of assigning an incident commander role will be available to everybody in PagerDuty, and that's in support of this idea of no matter what plan you're on, you can run incidents end to end. And then, as you go up, it's about more customization configuration. But yes, so 98% of this is available everywhere. It's also live today, so you can go play with it.
To add on PagerDuty Advanced that we also give consumption credits for each of the subscription plans. So for example, business plan gets 5,000 credits. Professional plan will also soon be getting credits, I think 1,000 credits. So every plan gets some amount of credits to start utilizing those actions that Michael demonstrated.
Can't wait to see what people put together with all this stuff. Be very exciting. Um, so if you're out there playing with it, you'd like to share what you're doing, we'd love to hear from you. Jeff has the $1,000,000 question here, though. What's this look like on Microsoft Teams?
Yeah, good question. So I'll say a couple things. One is, I don't think we put this in the chat, but we have like a click-through product tour of these features in Slack through this platform called Wettick. And we're working on the Teams equivalent now. So relatively soon, we'll have this thing that we can publicly post that if you don't want to set it up, or if you're not on Teams yet, or you're not on PagerDuty yet, you can walk through the Teams integration. So stay tuned for that. But I'll also just hop over. Let me see. So let me trigger another incident. We're getting some bonus content.
Love it.
So I triggered another incident. It borked. I have these notifications being sent to my Teams channel, and similar, the UX of Teams is a little different than Slack, and we have some different patterns to do this, but one of the things you can do is create a dedicated chat for your incident. So I'm going to do that from the incident card, but there's also a workflow action for creating a dedicated chat in Microsoft Teams. So I can then, anybody in Teams can join the dedicated chat from this incident card. If you're a responder, you'll be added automatically. And it's a similar idea where I can take action on the incident from this channel. Responders can coordinate in here. Some of those fancier things like updating custom fields, I can also do. So like, let me update my stage to investigating. So a lot of the same dynamic, as you can see here, also exists in Teams today. We also have PagerDuty Advanced built into our Teams app. So you can take it, the same questions that I was asking of Advanced in Slack, you can also leverage those features in Teams. I'd say some of our like next steps on the team side is we have a broader array of automation actions as it relates to Slack, but we're actively working on bringing those over to Teams as well. And then the last thing would be this Jelly integration. That's a big priority for the next over this upcoming year, is also allowing you to ingest Teams data for your post-incident reviews. So it's going to be an exciting year for Teams, but yeah, the base idea of dedicated chats and running incidents you can do today. So here's a little like preview of that. I don't know if we have a video, but we will have that similar product tour coming out soon. So we'll make sure folks know that that exists when it exists.
That's excellent. Teams on the back end is significantly different from how Slack is architected. So like it's a lot harder to integrate in the
Yep.
same ways with Teams that you can with Slack. So that's what some of the delay has been over the past couple of years with those features, but we're working on it. It's exciting to see it. We talk to
Yeah.
people in public all the time. What's it look like on Teams? What's the Teams gonna be like? It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. As fast as we can put it together. We have one more question here before we break. And if anybody has any other questions, you can put them in the chat. We do have a couple minutes. And Jenda has added a bunch of resources for you for the stuff that we've talked about. But for folks who are, interested in this approach, like how do you recommend getting started with this? Like the whole workflow, like boiling that ocean to get from end to end with all of these components might feel a little bit overwhelming for folks who are kind of just getting started with how all this automation and stuff can work for them. So how do they approach it from the beginning?
Yeah, that's a good question. I recognize and know personally change management is very hard. We've tried to make this as intuitive as possible, and I hope that came through in the demo today. Um, I think I wouldn't start by trying to like adopt this approach for all incidents across all teams. I think your biggest value would probably be starting with maybe your major incident process
Yeah.
and building something out in PagerDuty where certain incidents can be escalated up to a major incident type, which then kicks off this process in Slack. Um, and we have some, if I just go to the incident workflows page, we have some templates available here. This major incident template is actually about to get updated, but it works as well. So you could take a look at that. But I mean, we looked at these workflows. They're incredibly easy to put together. So I would say, think about, we try to provide help in PagerDuty as a product. We have our help commands. We try to be uh, like clear and easy to use for responders, but also think about like, what do people at your organization need to know about your major incident process? What resources do they need? And then leverage this to just bring that into the Slack channel. So if you have somebody who's new on call, or it's been a while since they've been in an incident, like all those resources are right at their fingertips. And I think this would pair well if you don't have something like an incident command rotation, finding some people that are interested in incidents and helping your organization be more efficient at it. Those would be good partners. And then they can be available to help in these major incident channels. And yeah, so I would say start with major incidents, keep it simple, make sure you're giving some nice helpful messages that are relevant to your organization, and then go from there.
I think the nice thing about PagerDuty Advanced is that you can really start from anywhere, because PagerDuty Advanced really supports the full incident lifecycle. As in one of the slides that I demonstrated, basically it's obviously, the bread and butter is around whenever you're dealing with outages, and this is where PagerDuty Advanced can really help with all the context and the proactiveness and with all the information that the responder needs. But the beauty of it is that it actually can help also during the planned work, which is the time where the teams are preparing for the next outage. So for instance, today you can already ask questions around knowledge base. So like, how do I configure an integration? Do we have Microsoft Teams available? So any of these online articles that we have today can be asked within Slack or Microsoft Teams. All of these questions are already available. I will share a sneak peek as for what is coming in the next few months. So we really see this whole world expanding and being able to support not only knowledge-based questions, but also more of account-specific questions. So for instance, analytics questions. So what was my MTTR last month for this particular team? How are my teams performing this month? So anything that can be today surfaced in the web UI by using filters and trying to identify the specific data set, we will be able to answer quickly within just asking a question. Another cool initiatives around this will be schedules. So questions around, hey, so who is on call next week? And maybe someone who can replace me in my shift tomorrow. So any of these questions will also be supported in the upcoming months, and that's very exciting. So So just to add on, where can I start with PagerDuty Advanced? It's really not only about dealing with outages, but it's also getting comfortable with understanding your PagerDuty setup and getting all of these insights that can be quickly surfaced by asking a question without needing to go to the web UI and search for the specific information that you are after.
Awesome. That'll be great for folks. I know sometimes they stumble with our API. Like there's just a lot of interconnected objects over there. You have to like dereference things. That'll be much easier for folks to just like ask the advance of the question and get their answer from there. Well, Agenda has put a pile of amazing stuff into the chat for folks. Make sure you grab that before you log off. Again, join us next month for another one of these. We're back every third Thursday for the next couple of months for a demo roundup. And thanks for joining us. If you have any other questions, any other things you want to know about PagerDuty, join us on the forums. We're at community.pagerduty.com. Ask them there. We'll get you routed to the right folks, get you answers to whatever you need. So in the meantime, we'll wish everybody an uneventful day. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll talk to you soon.